The next speaker that I would like to welcome is a great leader who is part of the current company, I think for the last 20 years, who followed a very consistent and from HR point of view, very logical path of development, learning from the processes and from the people, learning to lead the figures and the teams, learning from multicultural teams, leading the countries from post-Soviet Union, but also from Europe. And in my view, when I saw the CV, I thought like he was getting prepared to come to Moldova. So that was the leader getting ready to embrace and meet the Moldovans. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have very big pleasure to introduce you, the CEO of Coca-Cola, Sergey Hovelyan, the guy who is adding to the culture and the profile of inspiring, simple leaders who in the childhood used to be an Olympic sportman in Olympic pentathlon, so 5 sports. So that's about the character, and that's about the ambition and multilateral development, even from the childhood. So that's for us as mothers, when we educate our kids, to think about that, what they don't do yet. Who is just adding the experience by years and losing kilos. Like another thing that I found out that like a couple of years ago he used to have 12 kilos more. And who is in love of Moldova and who wants to share with us from his personal experience and from the vision that the today world is about the change. So it's not, we don't think about change already like something will happen, we need to adapt. We need to get ready yesterday for the changes that are happening today and tomorrow. So here we talk about the business change, business models, geopolitical situations. There is light or there is no light, and how to adapt our behaviors to that. Is war in the region or is happening something in the world? Is it the globalization then followed by localization? So this is about the change. And Sergey will share with us how do we embrace this change? How do we get ready? We as HR, we as the supporters of the business, how can we prepare ourselves, our processes and our people to get comfortable with this change? So, here, Sergey, welcome.
Please welcome to the stage the next speaker within the leadership track.
Thank you, Svetlana. Thank you, Carmina. After their speech, I can go and do my business because both of them covered what I was going to tell you, but not today. So, as Svetlana already mentioned, I'm in the company for the last 20 years, and I was lucky enough to pass through not only different departments and functions in one country, but also across the countries, and being part of almost every function that we have besides one, that's the finance. I believe that in order to be in finance, you need to have academic knowledge, university knowledge, and luckily I don't have it. So, but during those 20 years, when I was crossing from one department to another, from one country to another, I had one colleague who was always was with me. And today my speech is not about me, but about him. That was a co-worker who was sometimes my boss, sometimes my subordinate, sometimes we working together in one team, but it was always been with me. And we are talking about today about the change. 20 years I did, first time innocently, then consciously, changes that fulfilled my life and my career. And why the change is important today to speak about. First of all, everything changed in the world. Everything and every time. There is nothing that is staying as it is, starting from the space, earth, mountains, rivers, air, finishing with us, with our family, with our career, with the food, with the cinema, movie, and whatever is surrounding us. Everything is changing. Everything in this world changing, and there is one thing which is constant. It's the change. Whole our life, in other words, is a sequence of the changes. And we need to understand this before moving ahead. I believe all of us understand that, but not in a level that allows you to perform and to perfect. Another thing that why I need to talk today about the change, another main attribute of the change is time. Last decade, for one is 2 decades, for another 4 decades, but last decade, everything is happening very fast. Much more faster than it used to be centuries ago. Much more faster than it used to be 1,000 years ago. During the last several decades, everything happening in a accelerated mode, starting from the meeting to the lady whom you are passing your rest life. Everything is going faster. Starting from moving from one location to another location, even unfortunately, having the lunch is becoming much more faster than it should be several decades ago. And I realize that now none of the generation use the word how far it is to drive from one location to the other, or how far is it from Chisinau to Vienna. Usually, we do not use word far when we are talking about the distance. We use word how long it will take to get to that place. So nowadays, humans understand that the time is becoming much more important rather than anything else, including the distance that we are not controlling. So for us, it's important to know how many time we spend to get there, or how many time we need to learn that skill, or how many years is the university degree, not how far you need to go to London or somewhere else to pass it. And what I realize nowadays, majority of human being is realizing one important thing, that the only valuable asset that we have and we invest in our life is the time. The time is the cost, what we are paying for what we have in our hands. Not the money. You are spending your time to earn that money. Not the feeling, because you are spending the time for that feeling. Not the relation, everything what we have in our hands, tangible and moreover intangible, is on the time that we spend on that. And luckily, I believe luckily for someone is unfortunately, it is limited. Oops. Yes, it is limited. To summarize the philosophy I was trying to pass you is that the quality of our life is primarily depending how fast and how good we are adopting, first of all, that the change is a part of our life, and accepting the change or creating the change, that changing the quality of our life in a better state. Again, in this stage, at this point, I can close the speech and say that I passed the main logic to you, but luckily, the life is not simple like this equation. There are much more complex and beautiful things, and today I would like to talk about the change. Unfortunately, in our society, change is not accepted very well. People are getting nervous, people getting insecure, people getting angry and mad whenever there is a world, something need to be changed. In other words, if you want to earn enemies, try to change something. You will definitely have them, a lot, because we think that people always want to have what they have previously because they paid for that with the, as I already mentioned, the most valuable thing, the time having that. And people doesn't resisting to the changes. If humanity was unchangeable, now my speech could be in, nowadays I was going to speech in the stone cave with the animal tooth in my knees, and nothing will be developed so far. But then why the people is resisting? Why the people is resisting to change? Because they afraid that something could be go wrong. Why they afraid? Because the life is difficult. The life is life because everything happens. Because the practice and the legacy that we have, sometimes not everything goes in the right direction. So in other words, if we convert that, organization is a group of people who is afraid that something could go wrong. Sounds like a dead end, yes? So what we can do? But it's true. You are facing the wall of the organizational resistance. Believe me, it's much more tough than convince your wife, your kid, your husband. It's a army of the resistance. It happens when we are missing a very important thing. When we are missing a leader who will take care of that. When we are missing the leader who will not manage the change, but lead the change. Sounds like a simple thing, but in my speech, the manager and the leader has a radically different meanings. And to be very simple, I will tell you what I mean. You don't manage the growth of your kids. You are leading. Sometimes you are running in front of them, showing how it should be. Sometimes you are taking the hands. Sometimes you are pushing the back, but you are leading their development, their growth. You are not managing. You are not managing your family. You are leading your family. You are not managing your life. You're leading your life. And that is the biggest difference I would like to take today with you. So, having said that, the biggest issue that we have, specifically in Moldova, is this old Soviet time thinking that the leadership is a position. I have assigned to this position to do that. I have assigned, as Carmina said, so I have a power to do something. Why I'm saying something? Because it's very, very unclear, even for the guy who is assigned to that position and need to do his work because he is assigned to this position. He is losing his time. Very expensive asset that he has. I think that my approach is that the leadership is a mindset. And as far as in this country, or in surrounding country, or in very developed country, or in international, even international organization, people is moved to the leadership position because he was very nice in performance, he was consistent in his performance, he was doing his job from 8 to 5. That's not enough. That's not enough because we are punishing this guy. We are punishing this guy, putting him on the shoes, which is no way to take it. And because of that, I separate two different leaders that we have. And why I'm talking about it, because you, my favorite HR community, are the right people who is managing this. As far as in your organization, in best case scenario is performance reviews, and we are promoting your people according to the performance reviews, we'll have that. We'll have that. In a best case scenario, again, I'm telling we have that implemented in our organization. But the important thing, again, is to have a right mindset. To have an inspirational guy who will take it with him. And why I'm saying leaders are either inspirational or destructive, black and white, unfortunately. I'm hating that approach, but this is like it black or white. Because there is no other way there is no other structure and no other way to lead the organization. Carmina told the capabilities and the skills that the leader should have to be inspirational as well. For the inspirational leadership, you can Google. You will find a lot of much more inspirational speeches that I am, and much more detailed scientific explanation how it can be. I'm not going to cover it, but I would like, before you go out from this room, to have a simple example how to understand how far you, your leaders, your colleagues are inspirational or destructive. I'm doing very simple exercise. Leader comes to his employee and says, listen, we need to do that, and this is your task for today and coming 1 year. Very inspirational, yes? I call them this type of the destructive leaders innocent messengers, because they don't even understand why they need to do that. They're just taking the message from here and passing to here. Then what the value of that leader, you can guess. There is another approach. Leader comes and say, listen, the guys there or there, I don't know who wears it, has made a decision that we need to do this today, this month, this year, or coming 3 years. Listen, I'm not fully agree with them. There are a lot of stupidities there. But we together with you, need to do that. Otherwise, we'll be fired. I call them empathic messengers. They sacrifice their role to show the empathy to his employee. How much is it inspiring? Maybe partially, yes. It's fear. If employee decide do not be kicked out and start to move his brains, then I will be very surprised. Another, and let me do a simple example of inspirational leader. He comes to the employee and says, listen, I just came from the management meeting. CEO, country manager, general manager, whomever else, showed me the path that we are going to take in coming day, month, or the year. And whatever I see there, it's a better type of our organization. I have full trust to my CEO, my country manager. Do not dig inside into the details. And I believe that will be there. And that will be not the better type of our organization, but ourselves as well. And what I want that you be with me at that time. You pass that path with me, and you and me make each other better tomorrow, a month later, or year later. Most probably, it's not difficult. It's absolutely not difficult, but it comes from the position how we are selected there, and what is your role in the organization. Going forward, I'm not talking about change management. Again, for the change management, you can Google, find instructions, etc., but everything can be failed when we are managing the change. And in some reason it fails. It could be fail when you are assigned as a ticking the mark, ticking the box, or some the task of during the changing other than just the ticking the box. When at least your boss or the leader who was responsible for the change, he was just managing the change and not leading the change. At that time, as everything in our world has a gravity, everything. If there is no gravity, you understand what will happen on the earth. But let me do other words. Everything has a gravity, including the fitness. Our fitness has its gravity. For example, if you have decided to lose 12 kilos, you stop eating some food and starting exercise, but not fixed your mental health, you'll go back there, sooner or less. When you are starting to fix your mental health, but not taking care of your body, you'll go back to the same mental issues that you have. In order to change to happen, you need to finish each and every step, each and every exercise, each and every prescription to the end, to be sure that the organizational gravity is not bringing back to your organization to the old stuff. Even more during the turbulences, we always live the turbulence. We always live that. On 20th, we said, 19 was nice, but now it's COVID. Today we said, COVID was nice, and now it's a war. Every time we have turbulences. But during the turbulences, the danger is not the turbulence itself, but when your people still think as a yesterday mindset. Usually, and this generates a generation, a society who says, when I was young, or when I was in United States, when I was in South Pole, the sky was bluer, the grass was greener, the trees are taller, etc. That is the case, that is the reason. That they faced during their career, their life, a lot of fallen leadership, and they made for them a rule: better do not change anything, do not fix anything if it works. Which is contradicting what what the inspirational leadership does. When you have inspirational leaders taking care of the organization, of a team of people, 5,000, each and every change will be not only managed, but converted to the transformation. Transformation, when worm becomes a butterfly, he never back to be a worm. It's a transformation, because he finished his cycle. And when you have an inspirational leadership there, you are converting the change to the transformation and starting, not changing it, but not managing it, but leading it. And why I'm passing this to the human resource department, human resource employees? Because there is nothing difficult to be inspirational leader. It's basis, as Carmina already said, on a basic human values like integrity, like curiosity, endless learning, whatever it is. From one to another, they could be slightly different. From one organization to another organization, it can be different. I don't believe that we have an organization when in the values there is written cheating, stealing, etc. I don't believe. Each and every single organization is a bigger part of our personal values. And when we are anchored and stuck to your values, there is nothing difficult to become an inspirational leader. And if you will ask me what's next, the next is this. If you want to manage the lead, you need to create it. Don't wait while blackout yesterday will hit your electricity. I'm just very fresh example. When yesterday that happened, the chaos everybody has lived it. I picked the phone and called my wife, said, listen, call to the kindergarten. Ask if they are going to throw out the children. Should we get them from there, etc.? She said, I already did. They said nothing to worry. They have a generator. And they already switched it on. I'm not doing any promo for the kindergarten, but this is how they address the change before it created the change. And this is what I want you as a human resource. Every time I'm sounding it's very difficult because I believe that you are not human resource managers. Nowadays, and I wish that it will come to Moldova as well, a lot of companies are renaming this position. Re-evaluating and renaming this position. In some countries, we call it people and culture managers. In other countries, in other companies more ambitious, they call chief happiness officers. But this is really the task that you need to take with you. You are those who need to set up the processes and the environment where you are nurturing, cultivating inspirational leaders for the change to lead. And if you will ask when we need to do that, I have already said. You need to change before you have to. Thank you very much. That's all from my side.